Hi, I'm Ian Frone. I'm a student studying at Rutgers-University, New Brunswick, and today we're talking about an important way to protect your health and others against what's known as the human papillomavirus, better known as HPV. To help us understand why the HPV vaccine is so essential, I'm joined here today by two professionals. First off, we have Dr. Perry Halkitis.
I am the Dean of the School of Public Health at Rutgers University, where I also direct the Center for Health Identity and Behavior and Prevention Studies, which I founded in 1999.
And following, we have Dr. Noah Shimoni.
I serve as Associate Vice President for Student Health and Wellness at Rutgers University.
So Dr. Halkitis, can someone get the HPV vaccine if they're not sexually active?
HPV is more than one thing. It is a class of viruses of which there are some 50 or more strains that cause infections in human beings. Most of these strains are benign. Some of them cause cancer. They are sexually transmittable, but they can also be transmitted by skin-to-skin contact, although at much lower rates than through sexual transmission.
There are a ton of different variants of HPV. Some of them are ones that kids can get, little warts that can have on their hands, and other ones are sexually transmitted. The ones that are sexually transmitted can cause warts, and they could also cause cervical cancer or other types of cancer like oropharyngeal or cancer of the mouth and throat.
Dr. Halkitis, why is early prevention with the HPV vaccine so important?
The HPV vaccine is particularly important because it is designed to protect against 9 different versions of HPV, 6 of which have been identified to cause cancer. So, even if you are potentially infected with a partner, if you're vaccinated, the infection will not take hold.
How effective is the HPV vaccine and what impact has it had so far?
The HPV vaccine that is administered right now protects against 9 different strains of the virus, 6 of which cause cancer. We know that the effectiveness of the vaccine is upwards of 90%. And so therefore, we have seen in countries where there is huge vaccination uptake, reduction in cancers, particularly cervical cancer in women, which has been a cause of death for way too many women around the world. It also protects against anal cancer in both men and women, oral cancer, and in genital cancer in both men and women.
And Dr. Shimoni, what kind of side effects are associated with the HPV vaccine?
So there are actually minimal side effects with the HPV vaccine, similar to the flu, and in many cases even less. Maybe somebody can get a little bit of soreness in the arm, a little bit redness in the arm, but other than that, we really don't see major side effects with this vaccine. It's one of the old-fashioned vaccines. It works extremely well. And I'd like to highlight that this is really one of the few vaccines that we have that actually prevents cancer.
Why should both men and women get vaccinated if they're not sexually active?
When the vaccine for HPV first came out in 2006, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention made recommendations just for young women or girls, with no recommendation for boys, leading to the mythology that exists in our society. But we know that men and women have sex. And we know that men infected with HPV can infect women, and women infected with HPV can infect men. And therefore, vaccinating both men and women is absolutely crucial, since both men and women engage in sexual behavior, and both men and women are susceptible to all forms of HPV.
Where can students get the HPV vaccine on Rutgers campus, and how can they find out if insurance covers it?
So students can get vaccinated at Student Health Services, but they can also get vaccinated at their home physician's or other clinician's office, and they could also get vaccinated at pharmacies. And students may really wonder whether their insurance covers this or not. Most insurances will cover the HPV vaccine up until the age of 26, and many will continue to do so up until the age of 45. So we have a really nice new collaboration with Screen and J. And Screen NJ does the back end work to find out where they can get vaccinated with their insurance.
What if I don't want to get vaccinated at Student Health?
In addition to getting vaccinated at Student Health, you could get vaccinated at your home primary care physician or other healthcare provider's office. You can get vaccinated at a pharmacy. There are many places to get vaccinated.
What are some common misconceptions about the HPV vaccine, and what's the truth?
Because HPV is often associated with sexual behavior, people are concerned that being vaccinated for HPV will cause people to become more promiscuous somehow. The same argument was made in the 1990s when we put condoms in high schools, and we found that condoms in high schools, in fact, did not make people more promiscuous. It made their sexual behavior safer. And so that's one myth that we must bust. The other big myth that seems to be prevalent in our society is that HPV is only a vaccine for women. But that's not true. HPV is a vaccine for men and women. Both men and women can develop cancers associated with certain strains of the virus.
Do you have any advice for international students regarding the HPV vaccine?
For people who come from countries where HPV vaccination is not recommended or common, I suggest you talk to your healthcare provider here in the United States. Again, the vaccine is covered for anyone ages 9 to 45. And if you are a student here at Rutgers University, the health center can provide you with very clear advice, guidance, and support in getting the vaccination to protect your health.
The really nice thing for international students is that the vast majority are covered by the Rutgers Student Health Insurance, and that covers HPV vaccination up until the age of 45 at 100% cost.
And lastly, I'd just like to ask, what potential stigma could students have if they're looking to get the vaccine, but they're still on their parents' health insurance plan?
I think that the best way to move forward is to speak with their parents and have a conversation about this is the one vaccine that consistently prevents cancer.
Dr. Alkidis, is there anything you'd like to add that you think we should know?
Yes. People often ask me when they should be vaccinated for HPV. The vaccine that is used to prevent HPV protects against 9 classes of the virus, 6 of which are carcinogenic. Recommendations are made by the CDC that anybody ages 9 to 45 are eligible for vaccination. And let's be clear, it's covered by health insurance. The vaccine is either 2 or 3 doses, depending on one's age. The general recommendation for vaccination in the United States for parents is to have their children vaccinated at ages 11 to 12. Why is that? Because it is assumed that most 11 to 12-year-olds are not quite sexually active yet, and that as children get older, as they become teenagers, as they become young adults, they are more likely to be exposed to HPV. So therefore, vaccinating early is absolutely key.
Dr. Shimoni?
So most students know that when they matriculate, they go ahead and submit their immunization data. And we were really curious to see if students were vaccinated against HPV. Why? Well, HPV is not a vaccine that is mandated by the university. So it is an opportunity for us to see if students submit it, but it's not required, so we're unlikely to have a lot of data. So we created a bunch of focus groups, and we asked students why. In many cases, students believed that they were actually, male students believed that they could carry the virus, but that they were not going to have any impact. And when we look at the type of cancers that are detected every year from HPV, there are 2 groups. One group is cervical cancer, and the other large group that is as many or maybe even more is oropharyngeal cancers, cancers of the mouth and throat. And men are certainly able to get those.
Well, thank you both for joining us and sharing your expertise. It is greatly appreciated. Just remember, getting the HPV vaccine is an extremely simple and easy way to help protect yourself and others around you in your community. Stay informed, stay healthy, and let's keep our Rutgers community safe, because your health matters.